We all start off on the shoulders of those who've gone before. No matter how high they took something, when we came in, we started where they left off. Back when I was growing up, there was nobody out here. This was backwater country. There were a few people here. Goes back to just a handful of ranchers and farmers got together and said, we need telephone service. So that was the reason for the cooperative in the first place. None of us can take credit for something we did because we started because somebody else helped us. And it's big. It's big for this cooperative.
The first 20 years of GVTC's existence were challenging yet extremely successful. A core operating philosophy became ingrained in the very fiber of the company, owned by those we serve.
But to kind of give you a feel for what it was like, my last office was in San Antonio, was at Thousand Oaks and 281. At Thousand Oaks was a light. That was the only light between that office and my house, which is 26 miles away out 281. And to show you the difference today, I mean, it's going to interstate there. I mean, that's going to be a 6-lane interstate now, and out of hundreds of lights. But since I was in that office, and I chose that office because I didn't have any lights. I could get home, I could actually drive 26 miles in less than 24, 25 minutes. You know, it's a great commute. Now, that same commute would take you 40 minutes, 45 minutes, because you got all kinds of stoplights. So it's a very, very big change, yeah.
And my goodness, how different it was then. I mean, telephone companies were true telephone companies. At that time, telephone companies owned the telephone, and that's why they were named as such. So back in those early days, we were a utility, much like a water company or an electric company. We were a monopoly, and we utilized funding programs from the Rural Electrification Administration to fund all this investment. And we were busy updating basic introductory type network to upgrade customer service from party lines, some of which had 8 customers on one line. It's such a contrast to the way it is today, obviously.
Well, when I got hired, I think I walked in there and put my name down, told them I'd like to apply for a job, and that was about it. There was no computer or to sign in or nothing. I just went in and put in I don't know, I don't remember. I might have even just signed one piece of paper. You know, maybe you can give them mama's phone number at the house. And it seemed like the next Monday, I came to work at Guadalupe Valley.
During that time, there was a lot of concern as to whether or not small telephone companies and cooperatives could survive. And that was really an impetus for a lot of the companies to go into different businesses. So GVTC at the time, and I watched this as they did it, they got into cable TV business. They started to get into security monitoring services later, but they recognized they needed to do something different to be able to survive in the marketplace. So it's really a progressive company. No one thinks about it, but 911 wasn't even available back then in the industry. We launched 911 service back then. I was part of that. And GVTC at the time was just really on the leading edge of that.
You know, I had a gentleman who was familiar with GVTC when I came here in 2003. He said, "Hey, you guys have got a lot of growth out there." He said, "That's good and bad." And I asked him, "Well, how's it good and bad?" Because I thought it was good. He said, "It's good in that you have new customers." And that's quite obvious. He said, "The bad part of that is it's going to draw competitors."
Because at that point in time, remember, it was Southwestern Bell and AT&T was a long-distance provider. So AT&T was going to come back in, and they had the long-distance network, and they were just going to build a local network and compete with you. So we decided at that point to be a competitive provider, we had to get in the long-distance business. We weren't really prepared for it. We really didn't have a marketing department because as a monopoly, you didn't need one. We're trying to get there, but we're not where we needed to be from a competitive perspective.
Well, there's no question in my mind. You hire, bring on board the very best talent you can find and sit back and let them do the job. They know what they're doing, they're trained, they have the intellectual capability, the technological knowledge to do this. Just let them do what they know how to do. Other than attributes, I think that's it. Let the right people run the company.
So it has been from stone to technology. I mean, we've done a complete change. So we have training on customer service skills, and when they implemented the FLC program, you truly saw the customer service level increase. And we hear it all the time out in the community that GVTC has wonderful customer service.
In 2004, the company had taken a strategic and considered gamble on a new technology, fiber optics. Even though GVTC had laid some of the transport fiber by 2003, it needed to convert most of the service area to stay competitive. Richie T. Sorrells and his team brought a multi-million-dollar proposal to the GVTC Board of Directors. As a result of the board meeting, GVTC officially launched the Fiber to the Home program in 2004. The process of bringing fiber to every home continues in 2022 as GVTC expands its network.
Guadalupe Valley, the first thing about the fiber was we were busy being a telephone company, building copper, rebuilding copper, maintaining copper. Management came up and they told us that we were going to go ahead and overbuild everything that we've been building for 25, 30 years. I went, really? I mean, you got to question yourself. But they did. We started, and we just started overbuilding. It was somewhat easier than just to build all of it new, because you spun that fiber up over your old copper that's there in the plant. But we got started, I guess, like 05 or so, and we built fiber every day.
And you may remember 2008 when we had a crash. I mean, we had a recession. The building business went to really non-existent. The new houses weren't built. Obviously, subdivisions weren't developed. And so we took that strategically as a time to continue to invest with our fiber deployment, and we did the first of our overbuild projects. And we started overbuilding our copper plant to give those existing customers who had been with us for a longer period of time, give them the opportunity to buy our value-added products over a fiber optic network. So we went down that path, and we continued down that path even today. We're in our 8th iteration of our overbuilds, where we overbuild our copper or our coax network to the tune of 1,500 to 2,000 customers a year, roughly.
Being able to keep up with the times and handling the challenges and the emergency situations, when there's a fiber optic cable cut, that affects a lot of people, and we're all over it. I mean, it's in the middle of the night, it's on the weekends, it doesn't matter. This team is ready and prepared and always looking into the future and always being several steps ahead to handle those challenges.
In 2006 is when our new CEO, Richie Sorrells, joined the GVTC. At that time, he wanted the company to always be engaged with the community, and so he's truly the founder of the GVTC Foundation. And so we're very grateful for those that choose to be a part of it and choose to be on the board, because it is a true commitment, and it's a big commitment because it's time away from your family, and it is volunteer time. We have over 112 organizations that we support financially, but we also support them with volunteerism. So we have done everything from sweeping pantries to building decks in the freezing ice weather. We have one ice school event where the guys who were building the deck had ice just kind of forming off of their sweat. It was so gross, but they were out there and they wouldn't stop. Other events that we do is we help the local food pantries. We go to the senior centers. We do Meals on Wheels programs. There's a lot of different organizations that we support, and we always want to be a part of their organization as well.
This cooperative gives so much. And they have the foundations, and they just give so much back to the community. I think that it's not about making the dollar. I think it's more about providing the service and giving back to the community. I mean, the scholarship funds that they give away, all the different, the turkey dinners on Thanksgiving Day. It's great. So I wanted to recognize that. They have a couple of foundations here that are really strong, and they mean a lot to the community.
Each part of GVTC's history has strategically pushed the company ahead of technology, competition, and community growth. Just as the teams of the 1950s and 60s set the cooperative up for a strong network, the 1970s and 1980s teams created a strong community and converted to better technology. The 1990s teams began to seek a strong competitive strategy, and the 2000s team reorganized and found solutions to put GVTC at the top of the technological contenders in Central Texas. GVTC Communications has become a worldwide leader and example in the telecommunications industry.
So it's a very, very big change, yeah. Goes back to just a handful of ranchers and farmers got together and said, we need telephone service. None of us can take credit for something we did because we started because somebody else helped us. And it's big. It's big for this cooperative.